We're on the videotape.
Okay. Well, we're going to start out by having you just introduce yourself, give us your name, where you were born, grew up, went to school, just a little background information.
Okay. I'm Leslie Patterson Vose. I was born in Louisville, grew up in Lexington, started living here when I was 4 years old. I'm about as provincial as I can be. I went to all my education here in Lexington, Tates Creek High School, UK. I have not had the privilege of living outside of Lexington.
That's great. What attracted you to go to law school? What was your interest in pursuing that as a career?
When I started college, I thought I wanted to be a biochemist, and I took chemistry classes, and they got real fussy about whether you crossed the Bunsen burner wires, the right one over the left one, and I knew that was not for me. My dad and I always enjoyed debating at the dinner table. We could make my mother and brother crazy because we could take any position at any time and thoroughly enjoy the argument, defend any position. That was something I was naturally good at and I loved. So in college I went in the path that was easier and better for me. When I was graduating, I gave my dad a choice. I would join the Peace Corps or apply to law school, and he thought law school was a fine option at that point. I only applied to UK, and I remember sitting there with the letter, whether I'd been accepted or not, thinking, why was I so arrogant? Why didn't I apply to some other law school in the state? But fortunately, they accepted me, so.
That's great. Well, what are some of your memories of law school, law professors, the diversity in your law class?
I didn't think that being a woman and going to law school was any big deal. I was lucky. I was in, I think, the second class that had a lot of women. I think Pam Bray in the class ahead of me had a lot of women. Didn't perceive it as much of a big deal. The guys I went to law school with were great. We had lots of fun. I guess I was a nerd. I liked law school. I liked studying. Had some professors that were wonderfully challenging, Lon Font, Biff Campbell, Professor Lawson. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Did not realize being a woman in the profession was remarkable. Somebody asked us to go down to motion hour and observe. Must have been a civil procedure teacher, probably Bill Fortune. So probably about second or third year, I actually went to court. No one in my family was a lawyer. I had very little exposure to the practice of law. And I went to Fayette Circuit Court, and there were no women lawyers. And for the first time, it dawned on me that maybe this was going to be something different than I had signed up for. Because previously, if you worked hard, you studied hard, you got the grades that you earned. I'd not thought too much about gender, quite frankly.
That's really, so when you graduated from law school, what was the next step? Did you start practicing?
When I was halfway through law school, I had played tennis and gone to high school with Charlie Landrum's daughters. And I think the firm had decided it was kind of trendy to have women law clerks, and they wanted to be cool. So they called me. I had done, reasonably well in law school, and they had called me and said, come interview. So I went down on a Saturday morning, and the 7 of them were in a smoke-filled room, actually smoking cigars. None of them had shaved, and interviewed me to see if I wanted to clerk. Well, of course, I wanted a job. So I accepted the job, didn't think a lot about it. First day, Charlie walked me around and told me that the secretaries didn't want me. And that was not a very great way to start the employment there. But within 2 or 3 days, I realized the secretaries were great. They were very welcoming, very helpful, and they were real sure that I wasn't asked to make coffee any more often than any of the male clerks. So I've always been real lucky in the support staff that I've gotten to work with. I worked there as a law clerk, was convinced that they were tremendously good lawyers, got to do a lot of things as a clerk. My senior year in law school, it was apparent they were not going to hire a woman. They weren't going to hire anybody out of our class. Neither the other guy nor me were going to get a job. They weren't going to expand the firm. So I went to the consortium through the law school and interviewed with a firm down in Memphis. And they liked me and I liked them, and so they had apparently written Charlie for a letter of recommendation. So I came to work one morning at the firm, and Charlie came in, as only Charlie could do, with a twinkle. And he'd written a letter he was very proud of, and he wanted to read it to me. And this letter of recommendation to the senior partner in the firm in Memphis was inappropriately generous in its praise of my skills. But Charlie said in there that the firm was not hiring me because they did not feel a woman could handle a trial practice in Eastern Kentucky. And at that point in my life, I would not have been a very good poker player. I'm sure my face fell, and Charlie could see it. And he backed out of my little cubicle, and he found one of the other partners, Pat Patterson, and that letter never went. But I realized then, I guess clearly, that it was not just a matter of working hard and doing well. So I very nicely left and found a job in Frankfurt, working underneath Bob Stevens, who was the Attorney General, and Ray Larson, who was the head of special prosecution at the time. And they were good enough to give several of us women, Sarah Weiler, Barbara Edelman, Barbara Jones. Barbara Edelman's now a partner with Densmore. Barbara Jones, General Counsel for the University of Kentucky. Sarah Weiler is with the Justice Department in Washington. They gave us all the opportunity to start in the AG's office as women litigators. And I got the opportunity to try cases in Eastern Kentucky, and actually got some good verdicts, and beat some of the old mountain male lawyers in Eastern Kentucky. And then a year later, Lanham and Shouse offered me a job back, and I took it, and I've stayed there ever since.
Oh, wow, that's a great story.
Well, then at the end of Charlie's career, I guess one of the nicest things for me, and I will say for my firm, when they pulled me back in, they had made a decision that they would treat me as they treated the men, and I was given every opportunity to succeed or fail, every opportunity to try the cases, and I'm very appreciative of that. I didn't have any problem once I went back. And I guess for me, one of the best parts was, I guess, the second to last case that Charlie tried. He and I went and tried a case in Mount Sterling, and I had just had my second child, which in 1985 it wasn't that common for female lawyers to have children and return to the practice. And I was breastfeeding. So I would take my little breast pump every day and meet Charlie, and we would drive to Mount Sterling, and he would never say a word about my bag in the cooler. And we would go to court, and we would try the case, and every day at lunch I would disappear into the lawyer's office that we were using in Mount Sterling, and I would use the breast pump, and Charlie never addressed it, never said a word, but I got to cross-examine the other side's expert at Mr. Landham's direction. And so for me, that was a real achievement. That was a validation by a trial lawyer whom I greatly respected, that as a woman lawyer, maybe I could do it.
That's really good. Did you get involved with the Fayette County Bar Association right away, or when did you
I think I did get involved fairly early. My partners were very supportive of the Bar Association. Charlie had been the president of the State Bar Association. I think our firm has always thought it's important to give back to the profession, that the profession should give back to the community, and they certainly supported my involvement in that organization.
And you were the first female president of the Fayette County Bar Association.
I was.
How did that come about?
Just like everything else, through hard work and working with great people. The bar presidents and the board, I got on the board just like all the guys had done. Got on the board, enjoyed, the Fayette County lawyers are great people to work with. I worked with Jim Murray and Bobby Elliott and Bill Rambacure, and gosh, I don't remember all the lawyers. I learned a tremendous amount and it gave me exposure outside my law firm to other really good lawyers in the community. So I probably got more from the opportunity to serve in the Bar Association than the Bar Association got from me. I enjoyed it a lot. And I think I had my fourth child, either my third or fourth child, while I was the bar president. So I remember running meetings while I was pregnant, and I remember coming back when I had a very young infant. It was a challenge.
Yeah, that's a lot to juggle. Yeah. What what are some of your memories of the courtroom when you were first starting out? You mentioned some of the stuff in Eastern Kentucky, but do you have any other
One
memories?
of my most vivid memories, Ray Larson was the head of Special Prosecution Unit in Frankfurt, Division of the Attorney General's Office. And I had just been sworn in October of 1978. And Ray took me down to run a grand jury down in Whitley County. I don't remember why the Commonwealth Attorney down there was out. I don't know if he was ill or what had happened, but I was greener than green. And Ray took me down to meet the then circuit judge, J.B. Johnson, and Judge Johnson said, "Honey, you're too pretty for a handshake. How about a kiss?" And I kissed him. What would you do in 1978? I puckered up and kissed him on the cheek. And I've often remembered that. You wouldn't do that today. You wouldn't be asked to do that today. But it was a different world then.
Yeah, sounds very different.
Yeah.
Did attorneys perform very much pro bono work when you were first practicing, or how did that operate?
I believe that attorneys have always performed a lot of pro bono work. I just don't think it was in a very structured fashion, nor do I think attorneys have ever gotten very much credit for it. I don't think I've ever been in a civic organization that has not had at least one attorney on the board or as a member. So I think that we as attorneys do a fairly poor job of explaining to the public just how much we give back. I know in my firm, every lawyer has 5 or 10 people that they kind of carry with them throughout life that can't afford the services of a lawyer, that they advise those people, members of their family. Is that technically pro bono work? No, but I suspect that if you could track all those hours, I think we do a much better job of it. I think we provide better access with a more structured pro bono program. And I'm pleased that the Fayette County Bar is part of that. I think that was kind of being set up when I was more actively involved in bar leadership. But I suspect that there's no telling how many hours of free time lawyers actually give.
How did lawyers treat each other when you first started practicing? Has that changed over the years, besides the kissing judges?
Yeah, that was one isolated incident. I think it probably has changed. I believe that it's very important to fight like the Dickens on the merits, but only on the merits. I think it's unconscionable to waste our clients' money and energy on bad interpersonal relations between attorneys. I think we do our clients a tremendous disservice if we as lawyers let our own egos get engaged. I don't know if that happens more now than it did. It's just the way I do business. If the lawyer on the other side becomes more angry and more upset, I become more quiet and nicer, and it's kind of fun because it really frustrates them. I think each individual lawyer can improve the civility of the bar, and I think it's essential that we do that.
Who were some of the leading figures in the law during your early days of practice?
All the Fayette Circuit Court judges were iconic figures. We looked up to them. Going to motion hour, you would go to motion hour even if you didn't have a case because it was so interesting. You would go over and sit and watch because you could learn. You would watch B.L. Kessinger. Gosh, who all did you watch? Charlie Palmer. Charlie Palmer used to tell this story. He was in trial and he was trying some kind of malpractice case where a chiropractor had recommended a salve to be put on this woman's arm, and he would tell the story himself about doing a live courtroom demonstration. And did you put the salve on the arm? Yes, I did. And is this the jar of salve? Yes, it was. Is this the heat lamp? Yes, it was. Is this exactly how you had to do it? Would you demonstrate to the jury? And the chiropractor demonstrated, and lo and behold, exactly as the plaintiff had alleged, it exploded into flames. and for me as a young lawyer, I'd always think, well, I haven't done a Charlie Palmer. I so appreciated that Charlie Palmer could tell that on himself. There was a lot of camaraderie. I don't know that that any of the people my age have done anything as colorful as the Charlie Landrums and the Pat Pattersons did.
What was the work environment like? Did you work long hours? Was there a dress code?
Well, yes, we dressed much more formally. I wore skirts and heels and hose all the time. In fact, I took a younger woman lawyer with me up to Pikeville Federal Court, gosh, probably 15 years ago. I had never worn pants in a courtroom, and nor colored hose. I always wore natural colored hose. And Jane came out. We were trying a case in federal court, and we stayed in adjoining hotel rooms, and I came out of the hotel room, and she had on a pantsuit. And I wasn't very tactful. I just looked at her and said, "You can't wear that." Well, it wasn't the right way to go at a young lawyer's attitude. And she said, "I can, it's all I have." And I thought, whoa. And so I said, "Let me think about it." So I went to breakfast, and Charlie Coy, who was an older lawyer than I am, was our co-counsel, and he was at breakfast. And I went and I said, "Charlie, Jane's got a pantsuit on. I don't think she can wear that to court." And he said, "Let me go ask my wife." His wife traveled with him. And his wife was in the restaurant, or was in the hotel room. And Charlie went to his wife, and he came back and he said, "She says if an old lady like her can wear pants to church, Jane can wear pants to court." And that's how we resolved it. And I don't think the jurors cared a bit. So yeah, I think things are very different. Yeah. And I don't know that even now, I'm not sure I've worn pants in a jury trial. I think I would, I'm just not sure that I have. And I'm sure the younger lawyers think that's really kind of old-fashioned.
What changes have occurred in the law during your practice, and have these changes affected your practice?
I came in right as the judicial article has been implemented, so I don't know that I've seen such dramatic changes as the lawyers who are probably 10 years older than I am have seen. We've always had, very qualified judges. The jury panels are pulled from a broader base than they used to be. So I think the jury panel selections in different counties, that process has changed. I think that has changed, probably has changed the results in various counties. It's made some more liberal, some less liberal. I don't see a tremendous, any one big sea change in terms of the law that way.
Great. Do you have any I was there stories where you were present at an event maybe of historical significance, maybe something in Lexington or Kentucky or national significance? I'm trying to think.
I don't really think so. Not in terms of, or at least not that I can think of. Not that come to my mind in terms of legal things.
How were attorneys disciplined when you first started practicing? Has that changed over the years?
I kind of hope so. I definitely kind of hope so. I wasn't very aware of attorney discipline the first half of my career. I am more aware of it now. I am most aware of it with some of the things that are occurring presently, and I'm hoping that our state bar will really issue some strong discipline on some things that are pending currently. I think our reputations are very important.
What are the biggest challenges facing the legal profession today? Are those the same as when you started practicing?
I think the challenges are probably very much the same. I mean, you still have the challenges of being ethical, being honest, being civil, the competing forces of being efficient, being thorough. You know, your clients in a pretrial matter, want you to be efficient and not spend any more money than is necessary. But if it doesn't go well, they want you to have covered every base. I think it's a very difficult job to handle responsibly all the competing pressures that are on a lawyer to function at that level, to be responsible. If you're a defense lawyer, I do a lot of defense work, you have to handle your obligations to your insured, your insurance company, your law partners, the court. It is certainly a complex task. I think it's a very rewarding job. I think it is a very demanding job.
What advice would you give to young lawyers starting out?
Be sure you like it. My son is graduating from Center College. I think he would be an absolutely fabulous trial lawyer. But I don't want to steer him that way. He needs to find his own path. Because it is a demanding enough thing to do, I think you need to really enjoy it. I really enjoy my clients. I enjoy the legal puzzle, fitting the legal puzzles together for the benefit of the clients. And I think if you don't like that, there are lots of other things that you could do and that you should do. So that's the advice I would give.
That's great. Well, that's pretty much all the questions we have. Are there any other things you'd want to add or any stories you'd want to share?
No, those are my main stories. I think the honey, how about a kiss really needs to be documented because that is a sea change. Mm-hmm. That is a sea change. It's still a work in progress. Mm-hmm. We're not there yet, but it's better.
That's great. So. Thank you so much. This has been great.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it. And painless.
Yeah, no,